Meantime, today, 9/11 first responders and survivors are questioning the federal government's vow to never forget after a new round of cuts to the program, helping thousands of them who were exposed to toxic dust after the attacks. The World Trade Center Health Program says 16 staffers were fired Friday, and that in total, a quarter of the staff has been removed since the start of the Trump administration. Advocates say it's an outrageous betrayal of first responders and survivors now coping with cancer. But last night, the president claimed not to know anything about it.
I was the one in my first term that helped them get money and helped them really live a much better life. That was a very important thing I did in my first term, but I'm not aware of anything that may have been brought up.
Joining us now here in studio, John Feal, Ground Zero demolition worker and the president of the Feel Good Foundation. Thank you for coming in. You just heard what the president said. He's not aware of this at all. What's your message to him?
Well, one, thank you for having me. He's being disingenuous. He's lying. The bill that he signed in his first term was the extension of the VCF till 2090 to coincide with the extension of the World Trade Center Health Program to 2090. One's health care, one's compensation. So he knows about this. He's lying. This is a silly administration with uniquely unqualified people as secretaries. Secretary Kennedy's lying. He's being disingenuous. And heroes and survivors are suffering because of their inadequacy, their recklessness, their poor leadership, their bad politics. I can go on, but this...
But I'd love to hear some details about it, because what are the critical services that are at stake, and who are the people who are being directly affected?
The two most important elements of the World Trade Center Health Program are to get enrolled, and then to get into the program, and then to get certified for your illness. The people that were fired Friday night in that Friday night massacre, late Friday night, they were in charge of that. Dr. Howard was reprieved until June 2nd.
He's the head of the health program.
He's the head of the health care. He's the head of NIOSH, who administrates the World Trade Center Health Program. So last month when he was fired by DOJ or cut or whatever you want to call it, it was done illegally, because the only one who could fire him is Secretary Kennedy, who said he hasn't fired Dr. Howard. But Dr. Howard is sitting behind a desk with no chores to do. So we don't know Dr. Howard's fate on June 2nd. And again, this just lacks humanity. The lifeline, the World Trade Center Health Program is a lifeline to 140,000 people. The backlog to get in before all of this was already a 2 or 3 month wait. Now it's going to be even longer. And the longer we wait, people will die. And I don't say that lightly.
And can you talk about the emotional disruption, staff being fired, then in some cases rehired, not knowing if they're going to be fired again, new members, as you say, who are unable to enroll? What are you hearing from people who are directly impacted by this?
That they're trying to get in to see the doctors and they can't get an appointment, or they're not being able to talk to their caseworkers. The list goes on.
Do they say to you, I'm worried whether or not I'm going to survive this?
Absolutely. And we talk about cancer. And 1 in 3 in the World Trade Center Health Program have cancer.
1 in 3.
40,000 plus people have a 9/11 certified 9/11 cancer. But we don't talk about the post-traumatic, which is the most prevalent illness in the 9/11 community. I was diagnosed by 4 doctors with post-traumatic. There are those who sit at home, who can't digest what's going on right now, can't absorb the crap that we're witnessing, and they're going to hurt themselves, so they're going to hurt other people. These people are suffering, and this administration is causing more pain and more harm to a fraternity of heroes and survivors that's uncalled for. To me, they're just trying to destroy every institution in Washington, D.C. They don't know the nuances of the federal government. They're not smart, they're not bright, they're ignorant, they're reckless. This is repulsive, this is repugnant, and as an activist, I'm disgusted by them, but as a human being, I'm appalled at how we can treat each other, Republican or Democrat, does not matter. You're a human being first. Act like a human being. Take care of these people. And if you don't, get out of the way so the next administration can.
Democratic Senators Chuck Schumer and Kirsten Gillibrand, who represent New York, obviously, slammed the Trump administration for these latest cuts. Here's some of what Senator Schumer had to say.
We think this is a disgrace. We think it has to be undone. And we think our Republican colleagues have to up the ante with the administration, as we are. Senator Gillibrand and I are saying we will fight this with the advocates. We will not let up on the pressure.
What more do you think Congress can do. And we should say, obviously, the people who are involved in this program are not just New Yorkers.
No, every state sent somebody during the 8-month cleanup. 434 out of 430.
Every single state.
434 out of 435 congressional districts have somebody in the World Trade Center help program. As for Republicans, they need to grow, said Abe Lincoln's, because I question their manhood and their womanhood, because their DNA does not allow them to care anymore. The New York Republican delegation, led by Andrew Garabino, who's doing an amazing job, everybody else sucks at their job, because they're not fighting for the 9/11 fraternity, the 9/11 community, and those who are suffering because of the aftermath of 9/11. Shame on them. Because if they really wanted to stand up and fight, they'd be standing outside the White House, banging on the door saying, fix this right away. I don't see anybody doing that. We've been in D.C. 3 times in the last 2 months. We're still trying to get a piece of legislation
Well, what's
passed.
the reaction when you go?
Oh, listen, we're at 50 co-sponsors now for the legislation because we have to get $3 billion for the World Trade Center Health Program by 2027. We're fighting 2 battles right now. We're fighting the boogeyman, and this administration is the boogeyman. And it's led by people that are silly, that are grossly unqualified to be secretaries or to be president.
John Feal, Americans who saw what was done down at Ground Zero, whether in person, as journalists here had an opportunity to do, people watching from afar, I'm sure they feel your pain and they know what you did. John Feal, keep us posted, will you? And thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
Much appreciated.